everyone, I'm Linda Nickell, and welcome to the Happiness Hour. Tonight, my guest is Todd Nettelhorst. Todd is an award-winning photographer and educator who believes photography is about more than making pictures. It's about storytelling, connection, and noticing the beauty in everyday moments. With experience spanning portraiture, events, commercial work, and fine art, Todd brings both creative insight and real-world perspective to his teaching. What truly sets him apart is his ability to create an encouraging, engaging space where photographers of all levels can explore their own voice. They can experiment freely and they can grow with confidence. His work celebrates authenticity, spontaneity, and the quiet stories that often go unnoticed, and that philosophy carries beautifully into how he teaches. To see more of his work, please visit his website, nettelhorstimages.com. And if you're on Instagram, you'll find him at Todd Net. In tonight's presentation, the AI co-pilot for photographers. Better planning, better practice, better photos. Todd's going to talk about how photographers are using AI tools to plan shoots faster, troubleshoot mistakes in minutes, build real skill with practice drills, edit with consistency, and tell stronger stories. Todd, welcome to the Happiness Hour.
Thank you so much, Linda. Really appreciate it. It's an honor being here. I know we've been trying to put this together for a while, and it's great to be here. So thank you. So welcome everybody. Great to see some familiar faces. Great to see some new faces. I've been getting paid to do photography for over 20 years, so it's pretty exciting that I still be able to do this as a living. I really am passionate about teaching and helping others. Have a lot of fun with that. And we have a little bit different type of presentation tonight. This is something that actually I was talking to Linda about. This is being debuted right here. This is the first time I've ever done this presentation. Something I've been using for quite a long time now, well over a year. I was going to debut it at we talked about the Bosque, the Festival of the Cranes was going to be the first time. So here you guys are. First ears on this and eyes. So what's really kind of interesting about this is, I've been hesitant on throwing this presentation out there for a little bit because the bad stigma there is with AI, if you will. And so I know the title says it, but it's really not artificial intelligence, to be honest with you. It's more of this co-pilot. Your intelligent photo assistant. That's really what this is about. And it's really kind of a thing that I've embraced and I use in my workflow all the time for all kinds of elements of it. So let me just start with a little share here. Get you guys rolling into some visuals. And again, it's a little bit of a unique presentation because it's not going to be rolling through all my images and showing all that kind of work and photographing birds and what have you, because this really applies to any photography. And you might be able to use some of these concepts for some of the other stuff you guys do in your life as well. If you haven't embraced Chat GPT or Gemini, I think Chat GPT is probably one of the more popular ones. That's the one I use. And I use it for all kinds of things. So we're going to go through a little bit about how that plays into my workflow. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. This is kind of an interesting shot here with this sitting behind this pilot here in my trip to Alaska. We were just a two-seater here flying. So I thought it was a little appropriate image for this. And again, if you guys have any questions, I'll keep an eye on the chat, see if we'll have some time at the end, also go over some of the questions, but if there's anything I feel that, I can jump in and answer, I will. So feel free to throw those into the chat box there. And then also one last thing at the end, I'm going to give you guys, I have a couple PDFs I'm going to share with you, and you're welcome to download those right in the chat. And I believe Linda's going to post them on the YouTube channel as well. So those are just a couple things I'm going to give you guys to take along with you. And one of them is going to be some prompts. So here's some of the things you're going to leave with today. We're going to talk about the workflow, as I'd mentioned. I'm going to give you some copy and paste signature prompts that can help you right away. So you're just going to copy and paste them right into your Chat GPT or Gemini, and they're going to roll from there. I think the more you, and it's just like your photography, the more you play with this stuff and the more you get involved in it, the more you're going to evolve and learn what you can do and what you can't do and how it can help you and all that. And then also, what would it be without teaching and not have some kind of a challenge or an assignment at the end? So I'm going to throw that at you guys as well. I'll highlight it later, but the PDF will have it in more detail for you guys to jump into that if you'd like. So let's talk a little bit about our co-pilot here, our chat bot, if you will, and how it supports your craft. What it is it's an assistant or a teacher, maybe even a troubleshooter, right? Or a coach, or even, just a companion. Like my wife thinks I'm a little wacky because I use the voice one and I have conversations with my chat bot, and she thinks that I'm cheating on her sometimes because the conversations that we have. So anyways, we've got to know each other quite well because I do a lot of work with ChatGPT. I have the pro model, so I can do a lot more stuff. And it's helped me design a whole bunch of stuff, apps and that type of stuff. But what it's not, which is more important, it's not your style, right? It doesn't intrude on that. It's not your taste, it's not your vision, it's not, your integrity. So these are important pieces. I think as you develop through your photography journey and try to figure out, and learn your style, and it comes just with time, right? And your taste. You can put those things into the chat, and it'll help you with those, help you determine those things. So those are some of the things we can talk about too. But it's definitely not your creative eye and your vision and all that. So don't think of it that. Just think of it as an assistant that's like me, except it's not human, and it can be with you 24/7 anytime you want it, which is extremely helpful. So we'll go into a little bit later in some examples on how that can help you out. So it's all about process, and I think there's some important pieces to that. A learning model that I think is super important that helps with you understanding and growing and moving along in your journey as a photographer is something that we've developed here, called Inform, Practice, and Feedback. And then repeat that. So get some information, practice that information, get feedback, good feedback, and then iterate and just go through that cycle. And I think it's a really simple way to think about how you can improve as a photographer. When we get to the inform part, when we talk about inform, getting your information, there's many different ways, different buckets of that. And one in particular is maybe micro lessons, right? So understanding some topic or something, or a genre or behavior in a bird or anything, asking the proper question as what we'd call a prompt to your assistant will spit out some great information to help you understand it. And the more information and the more you can get directed to your assistant, the better information that's going to come out with you. I always talk to my clients and stuff when I'm out there. People are asking me all kinds of questions, and this started with my dad years ago because we used to teach together. He has since retired from that, but I told him, I said, hey, did you ever ask Professor Google? And he said, what's Professor Google? I said, well, you just put it in the Google box and ask that question. And I said, the more specific you can be, the quicker you're going to get to your answer. Well, this is the same. So it's just an extension, but way more information, right? So, and I'm sure now if you guys are using Google, you'll see there's an AI mode or what have you. It'll come out and it'll give you information, and then you can dive into that deep. That's the same thing we have here. So getting information, super important, right? So understanding, say you're going to go out and shoot. Well, let's figure out, what it is about this particular subject I need to know before I can go out. Um, Another bucket of inform is, what does success look like? Or what is a goal? Or how about a shot list? Or how about locations to find this particular species? Or when or that, right? So those kind of things can be very helpful for you understanding. And then once you get that information, then we can develop within the chat some practice, right? So give me a shot list. What can I do? Like give me different angles I can photograph that flower or that kind of thing. And so then you get the practice, you go out and practice it. And then I think one of the most important things in learning and getting better and better and better is getting feedback, getting good, gentle but honest feedback from somebody that knows what they're looking at and what they're doing. And even your peers can help. Everyone's got great information. That's why I love doing group critiques where everyone submits an image and we work through them and talk through them and everyone has a nice conversation about it. I think it's a great thing. I don't know if you guys have done that here with Linda. I think it would be a great thing where you guys as a group that come in here regularly, maybe you guys all submit an image and you just go through and talk about your images. I think it could be a really healthy learning environment. But getting feedback is super important. And then taking that feedback, right? And then making that adjustment. And so we're going to go through some of these examples and some of the prompts. And again, at the end, I've got prompts for all of these buckets to help you right away, instantly. You can copy and paste them right in and see. I did it actually at the Florida in St. Augustine at the Florida Bird and Wildlife Festival. We were online and I just said, "Hey, have you ever done this?" No, and they're like, "No." So I threw it up there and their eyes popped open. This was a couple of years ago. They go, "Holy cow." And I go, "Yep." So this is pretty cool stuff. Hopefully you guys are incorporating some of this into your workflow currently. And then maybe this can just build some more awareness around that. So prompt number 1. So we talked about inform. Okay. I have this in the handout. So you guys feel, if you want to take a screenshot or you want to write it down, go ahead. But I do have it for you guys, so you don't have to do that. Big proponent of giving the information so you guys can have it afterwards. But this is a nice learn prompt, an example of what you can throw in there to do a little micro lesson, right? So I think one of the important things in your prompt is setting the stage. Okay, so you see that first sentence there, act as my professional photography instructor. You can also put, so if I do some social media stuff or I'll do some, get some ideas for some posts and stuff. I don't just copy and paste, but I get some ideas of stuff like that. And I'll put in being a marketing director or a social media guru or, those kind of things. Just kind of laying the foundation for your assistant, your co-pilot to get in that state of mind so they're delivering the best possible information to you. Okay, so the next sentence is right. I'm learning so and so, right? I want to learn about, say birds in flight, for example. Okay, to improve, my bird photography, right? Birds in flight or and then put in what your skill level is, so it gets good understanding of where you're at and how to deliver that information, right? You can even say, you can put in some more descriptors if you want. It's up to you if you want to put your camera and lens settings in there, but goals I think are important. So what kind of result you're trying to accomplish, or maybe even outside the goal, you could put some kind of challenge that you have that you find in birds in flight. I just can't get it in focus, or I can't, I just can't have a hard time tracking, those kind of things. So, and it'll help you. And then adding a little bit, teach me 5-minute micro lessons. And then boom, 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 boom. And it just spits it out and you go, whoa. And then now you got that information, right? You can do that with any topic. And then once you get that information, then you can move on, right? You move on to the next. Now we can maybe build a shot list and those kind of things. So thinking about that, right? So being planned, a planned approach will help you be successful out in the field. Workflow loop, right? So we get the information, right? And that's part of our planning. So we get the information to understand it, and then we're going to build the plan of what we're going to do, when we're going to go out, what's the best time of the year, time of the day, whatever, if it's this week, if it knows your location, then it can tell you exactly what's going on. Maybe there's migrating birds. Maybe there's, you know, northern lights. Who knows, right? It could be anything. But it will know where a good spot is for you to go shoot that, which is amazing. And then you go out and practice, right? You maybe even practice, get your gear ready, that kind of thing. And then you're shooting. What's going on during the shoot, right? And then come back, take your images, right? And then you can edit them. Now, there's a whole level. We're not going to get into this time because we could talk forever on post-processing, calling your images and going through and using, because there's so many AI tools out there that can assist you in your editing process, especially if you're a big bird shooter and you're just shooting a lot of activities and you got thousands of images. Some of these AI tools can help you get through those images faster, and I implore you to look into those because it'll save a lot of time. And then you can share it, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then as you go through this process, you're going to grow. Then you go plan again, right? Now now I'm super excited. Let's try this. Oh my gosh, this is so great. And so then we move on to the next thing and you just keep going through this loop and just keep, and I know you guys are probably doing this anyways. And I may just be regurgitating it and bringing me hopefully into a little bit easier way to understand it. So better planning, right? So we plan faster, right? Miss less, create more. I think it's important, right? So we come up with shot lists, right? So if we can plan ahead, though this, I want to say this, I'm a big fan of just going out and shooting. So don't let, this is a side thing. I love just grabbing my gear and just going out, and what happens happens. I think that's the best way to go. But this is if you want to be intentional about learning, and this can help you get better at what your craft or whatever you're trying to improve. So if there's things you're struggling with, these are what you throw in here to help you get past those hurdles. And then bite size and whatever time, and you'll see in some of the prompts that are coming up, what kind of time I can allow for me to do this per week, per month, whatever, depending on how much you want to learn, But important, get some shot lists, right? Understand the light and the timing, how that plays, right? Because we understand it's all about light. So we need to make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best position to be successful. And then different gear decisions to get to that outcome, right? And then, of course, think about the backup plan. What happens if this, which, to be honest with you, a lot of my best images are all of a sudden this happened and fog showed up and it was the greatest thing I ever had, right? Those kind of things. So those are always fun. I love the hunt. I just love the hunt. I have full disclosure, I'm not huge at editing. I always pass that along. I know a lot about it, but my joy is, besides teaching and being with you guys out in the field and one-on-one and doing that type of stuff, is just me going out there and just shooting and the whole process of capturing a great image. And once it's recorded, I don't know, I'm okay with sharing it, but I really just love that first piece of the whole thing. So I don't do a whole lot on social media. I do as much as I can, so that I can, keep sharing my work, and people might think that I can do something, the little bit of knowledge I have and the eye that I have and that kind of thing. But anyways, that's a whole another conversation. Okay, so the secret sauce. All right, this is it. We talked about it briefly earlier. Better inputs, better output. This is important on your prompts. Okay, so the better you can put the information in, the better you're going to get the output to you. Okay, and this is like I talked about with the Professor Google, and use that for when you're searching anything. Be very specific when you ask in the Google search, right? Be specific on what you're trying to look for. Spell it out, and nowadays it'll get right to where you want. And that goes for this. Okay, so give your co-pilot some information, and one of them is a goal. Okay, if you want to be simple about it, right? Goal, constraints, and your problem. Okay. Now, problem can be maybe what you're trying to accomplish. It doesn't have to necessarily be a problem, but a lot of times we're struggling with something, and we need to learn, become more proficient, a little bit better at that. So, feeding that into the chat will get what you want out of it. So again, being specific, right? Okay, so generic prompts, generic answer. So just remember that. And trying to set that up, like I talked about, setting up that I am a professional photographer or I'm a beginner photographer is okay to say. Say, I'm brand new to this. Talk to me like I'm a fourth grader, right? Or talk, and then it really will make it so that it's just plain, which is the way I like to teach anyways. I like to keep it so that we don't have all that craziness and getting heavy into the technical terms and stuff like that. And a lot of times when I teach about settings and stuff, I'm talking about moving in directions and not numbers, because once you get in the numbers, then you start getting out of your creative space in your brain. And so keeping that in line can be helpful. All right. So now the next prompt. Okay. Now we're going to go into the little bit of the planning. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through a series. I'm going to actually I'm not going to do a live. I'm going to do a live one for you in a minute, but this one, I just did it and I put some stuff into the slide so you guys can see. So here is the prompt, and you're going to get this in that handout. And it's kind of general, and you fill in those blanks, right? So what's the subject? What's the location? Blah, blah, blah. And if you don't know them, then don't put them in there. It's fine. It'll be a little bit more generic than, not as specific. But and then we're going to create a shot list. It's going to come and talk about composition, those type of things, and you'll see the output here. So here's an example that I did. Okay. So the prompt is we're going to photograph bears. Okay. So I filled it in. Okay. So act as a professional photo assistant. I'm photographing bears at Alaska coast on June 1st at 7 a.m. I have a Sony A1. I want to shoot with my 200-600. The goal is motherly love. So I want to try to capture the interaction with the cub and the sound and have a little fun with that. Excuse me. So, but create a 15 shot list. Now you could say 10, you could say whatever you want. And you can, these are just starting points. So feel free to, put your own wording in there, and then give me a backup plan, just in case the conditions change. So, splits all this out. Boom, big old thing reads up, and you just start reading through it. And you go, holy cow, this is awesome. Blah, 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 blah. So we got some output. Now I just kind of I took 3 out of here and put them in here. I mean, it would normally just be a scrolling thing if you guys ever done ChatGPT, but here, 15 shot list. So one of them was mother and cub walking in step. Just so happened that I shot that this last June. So that's, use this lens, right? Low angle, gives you some ideas of what to do, some tips, right? Use animal eye autofocus, right? Keep the eye on, near the subject, and try to, so just gives you some ideas. Okay. Another one, nose to nose check-in, right? Just gives you kind of a little idea. Tight portrait, both noses in frame, eyes sharp. Now, ideally for what they were saying, I'd be in closer, but I wasn't going to crop in, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea, right? Look for even shade or backlight, right? So it gives you some ideas of this. And these are things that you can just save in some notes too, right? Copy, paste, and then you can have them pull them up on your phone or in chat. You can, they'll save your chats and you can just label them, put them in projects. And then you can go back, say, oh, this is my Alaska trip, right? My Alaska bear trip. Here's all the stuff. Here's my planning. Here's my information I learned. Here's my planning. Here's all this. So these kind of things you just, you can save them and then you have them, right? Here's another one, closing, safe together, right? It was so awesome. These two are so fun to follow around. It was just if you guys have not been up there, it's just unbelievable. These coastal grizzly bears, and mom and her little cub, and that's actually a volcano behind there. Somebody is saying they lost the sound. Can everybody hear me? Is everything all right? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, just checking, making sure. So just those are kind of ideas that it'll come out and give you, and there's obviously 15 of them, right? All different kinds of ideas and something for you guys to think about, right? And help keep you guys fresh on your thoughts. And if you think about it, like even just these 3 in a row is just a nice little story. It worked from maybe from a further out shot, right? And then we get in more intimate. And if you think about this, all these interactions, and then there was a shot in there where they were mom was teaching the cub how to fish, and you can do all kinds of things and just develop a whole day. And if you get 15 shots like this, we would all take it, right? If we walked away with 15 shots that we liked, it would be awesome, right? Wouldn't it? So just something to think about. So then the other part of that was, right, how about the plan, right? About arriving early. So we asked 15 minutes, right? So this is just kind of what it's split out. I know there's a lot of words in here. Feel free to read them, but I just wanted to show you that it divided it up into 3-minute sections to get you prepared for your shooting. So not necessarily do you have to pull this out and read through it, but this might help you think about how you can prepare as you're out there in the field. And like anything, if you just keep using these kind of systems and these processes, that they just become second nature and things get a lot easier for you. Maybe overbearing in the beginning, but you can see it just it gets you through getting ready and all the way up to, okay, here we go. Make sure everything's good. And then we're going to go shoot. Now the backup plan came out in that same thing, right? Well, what if it's foggy? What if it's flat light? What if I get out there and all this, like I planned all this and it's just, no, it's not happening, right? So here's just gives you a nice little list, I mean, you have to decide whether that's helpful or not, if you want that backup plan in there or not. But I'm just giving you some ideas to think about when you're sharing and you're throwing your prompts into the chats. So just interesting how it just comes up with all the stuff. And if you slowly read through some of this, it just makes sense. And so it's great. It's just, we're not reinventing anything, but it's packaging it in a nice, great package for you guys to be able to digest easily and implement into your shoots. And then and then you can run through, a little 5-minute pre-shot checklist, right? So, okay, I got I know what my subject is, right? We said bears and stories, and make sure the lighting's good. I got my background plan. So where am I going to position, right? So you can also do that. A lot of times if you're putting your location, your time and time of year, your co-pilot knows exactly where you're going, what time, and what the light's going to be like. I mean, obviously, if it's cloudy, it's a little different, but they're going to know how high or where in the up down south or up north the sun is. They're going to know, when it's going to rise. They're going to know all, it's going to be able to give you all that information. Super easy. So, and then remember, again, having the backup plan can help. So I know we're kind of getting into the weeds a little bit. So let's get out of those weeds and get it back into stuff that's not so deep here. Okay. So what's really important here, I think, other than the feedback, is practice, 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 right? Reps are undefeated, just like it says. The more you can practice, the better you're going to get at what you're trying to accomplish here, right? So better practice, right? So here's a little kind of a helpful thing for your coach or tutor, right? So you're going to teach, the coach is going to teach, give you some drills and assignments, and then they're going to review. And this is kind of goes along the lines of informed practice feedback, right? So remembering just to keep that, right? And what's important is, emphasize and customize your prompts to say, teach me like I'm new or like I'm advanced, and then ask for drills and assignments, ask for scoring, So when we talk about feedback in a little bit here, ask for some scoring and score yourself too, which we're going to jump into. Okay. So here's one where you can go even deeper, and I didn't print this out, but this is another great prompt for you to really get good practice and get better at what you're doing. Perfect example. Build me a 30-day practice plan to improve whatever it is, right? I can have 30 minutes, or maybe I have 90 minutes twice a day per week, or 2 days, 2 days per week. And this is my gear. Or maybe I'm just a phone shooter, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Put that in there. Or if you just want to learn from the phone, put that in there. And then maybe something you're struggling with, and boom, it'll print out a whole thing for you, and it'll prompt you at the end too. Do you want, how about this? Do you want me to put it in a nice chart? Do you want me to give you a downloadable Excel spreadsheet? Do you want it in a PDF form? So it'll help you with all that. It'll put it all together for you. But this is a great way. You can do, say I want to improve in this area, I want 3 months, give me a plan. I can only shoot once a week, on Sundays. This is where I live, blah, 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 blah. Or, I know the birds are migrating this time. I really want to catch this certain warbler. How, can I put a plan together for me to accomplish this, blah, 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 blah. Right? So any of those, and just experiment with your prompts, and you'll be amazed. And then when the prompt comes out, you can go up and edit it, or you can add another one in there as well at the bottom. All right, we talked about scoring yourself, right? So looking at your progress, make it visible, make some charts, right? So say you go do your shoot and you try for your 15 shots of the bears, right? And then you're looking at your portfolio of shots that you had, right? How's my sharpness? How's my light? How's my composition? Am I telling a good story? Right? Those kind of things. And rate it, 1 to 5 or 1 to 3. And then put all those together and say, oh, I'm really not good at sharpness. Like most of my images are really, really blurry. So then that's something you work on, right? So take that and put that into your Copilot and see what your Copilot has to say, and come up with a plan. And maybe you can diagnose, right? What's going on, which leads me to this. Stop guessing in the field, right? Right? Simple loop. Good shooters, while they're shooting, they're looking at their images, they're understanding what's going on, and they're diagnosing on the fly, right? And they're making the adjustments, and they're confirming. With the mirrorless, or the DSLRs, now that we're digital and not film's a little different, right? We had to delay that gratification for a while, or that disappointment, if you will, until our film came back, right? Till our pictures, our negatives came back, or slides. But now you can just look and see, right? Now, granted, you got to be careful because those screens aren't, like your big screen in your computer. So sometimes the sharpness can be off a little bit. So just be aware of that. And that small screen, you may not be able to see, but making those adjustments on the fly and then just iterating it, right? So make sure you're reviewing as you're shooting to understand what's going on, and you make that adjustment. And again, feel free to open up your phone and have your little assistant with you and ask, hey, this just changed. This is what happened. All of a sudden, I can see the sun's going to pop up over here. I did not expect this because it was supposed to be cloudy today. Here's where I'm at. What am I going to do? Another thing you can even do, which is crazy talk, by the way, is take your phone, take a shot of the scene, load it in, and say, from this scene, give me 5 intimate landscapes that you would compose from this. Boom, 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 boom. Telling you, pretty incredible. I don't know. Some people say that might be cheating, but I think it's fun. So, but I think it's all based on what you guys want to accomplish, what you want to do. But I think it's a great way to learn. And then next time you're in that situation, you'll see it. You'll see it yourself and you'll adjust. So it's unbelievable to have that Copilot with you like that. Okay, diagnostic prompt, right? So here, my images are often soft, right? When I shoot birds in flight, or whatever it is, right? Ask me 10 questions to diagnose, right? So it'll throw some 10 questions. I put this little chart in here just kind of show you kind of the flow of it. It's not really anything to copy or write down, but just kind of puts it into a little tree for you guys to see. But, give me top 5 likely causes. And then what I can do is, I can figure out how to fix that. And you can even do that right in the field, right? If you want. Okay. So now let's just do something crazy. Technology can be goofy. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a live feedback. on a critique. And so open up your chat GPT. Hope you guys are seeing that. And I have pre-popped in, you guys can see, a feedback thing. I can see that it says not fully Sony here, so we're gonna put, and you guys can, I left these in here, but you guys could take these brackets out, right? But it's not gonna affect the outcome of that. And then you just take your image or images. I usually do one at a time. You can just drag it in. And then it loads up, and I'll show you guys the image. Here's the image that we're going to get critiqued. It's, little forest scene with some fog in or on the Oregon coast. Okay. So we'll see. You guys take a look, see what you guys think as far as the image. Maybe you're like, oh, maybe this could be adjusted, or maybe the highlights over here are too bright, those kind of things. And let's see what our little co-pilot's gonna say. So then you just hit, and it's going to analyze the image, and it's thinking, it's going through it, and based on what we were saying here, it's going to come out with um, feedback. So I had already done it, so we're going to give you guys this, just so we speed it up a little bit. So what it's giving me is what's working, right? The light and the story. The light is the story. It's great. The rays are great. The fog created instant mood, blah, 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 right? Gives us great feedback on what it really likes, what's really nice about the image, all those kind of things. So you go, oh, great. That's what I was feeling there. And then what's hurting it most, or what can we do to improve it, right? Make it a little bit better, right? Well, the highlights are a bit nuclear near the sun, right? So I showed you that, pointed that out. And we can go back and look at, well, I guess we don't have it, but it goes through the whole image and tells you, right? So what's the single highest impact fix in your next shoot, right? Recompose it for simplicity, right? So do these kind of things. So next time you're there, right? Now look, it came out with a 10-minute drill to improve that fix, right? So just helping you with that. So getting feedback on your images, I think is super important. The one thing that was amazing was when I first did feedback on an image was that it gave me everything that I thought was good and things that I needed to prove. And it just really, I don't know where it gets this from, maybe just all the knowledge base it has on what's good for composition and those kind of things. So, just having it go and give you back. And I see Mike has a question, or Micah? Micah has a
It's
question about
it's Mika. She
Mika.
wanted to
Mika.
know.
Yeah, so I am never concerned about my images. You want to steal my images, steal my images. They're the quality of them, you're not gonna be able to blow them up, you're not gonna be able to print them out. Me personally, just have some fun with it. I've embraced it. I don't put signatures on mine. You guys can create the same image if you wanted to. You can have my image. But the stuff that I post, the stuff that I do, yeah, could you use it for some kind of ad maybe or what have you? I'm not creating anything so unique that that I'm worried about it, to be honest with you. I know it's kind of maybe a cop out answer, but I don't worry about those things. I really don't. I have more things to worry about than that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure I've thought about it where you put your photos up in Google Drive, or you put them in photos for whatever, right? And I mean, I'm sure if someone wanted to grab them, they're going to grab them, and there's nothing you can do about it. So um, I do on my website though. You can't right click and download anything, but you can screenshot it. But I mean, the quality's not. You're not gonna be able to make it anything great print and what have you. So I don't know. Whoop, jumping ahead. So, but that's a great question, and I appreciate that. Um, and then you also asked about Mika also asked about replacing photo pills. I still use photo pills. I absolutely do, and I love photo pills. I use it. I I have ChatGPT help me with my planning, but I'll use photo pills to plan out a lot of my shoots and a lot of my workshops and outings and stuff and time of year and all that. And then I absolutely use it when I'm there. I use the AR for checking out when that moon or the sun's going to come up and where it's going to exactly come up so I can position myself for that. Great questions. So just a little bit on the back end. So the story, this is more about maybe sharing, right, and posting. So kind of this is my what I call my flasher image of my little boy here. This was in if any of you have been to Orlando Wetlands. It's a pretty cool place. Just east of that, between Cape Canaveral and Orlando. It's really cool wetlands there. But I didn't know this. I didn't never had seen this behavior before, and it is for when they're drying out their they're overheated or they've got too much water on their wings, and it's a good way to dry them out. So they stand and pose like this, which is pretty crazy. So, anyways, so thinking about posting, sharing. Okay, so if you guys are sharing your stuff on Instagram or Facebook or any social media things, here's 5 little angles to think about. I'm not going to go into too many details, but you can use these as a premise to add to a chat where you can say, here's this image of this flasher, right? And maybe do an educational, right? Give me some conservation thoughts and maybe some photo tips on photographing this type of species or, with great blues, whatever. You can do story driven or emotional kind of thing or make it humorous, right? This one would be probably lend itself to a humorous type post, short and punchy. So using those things to kind of help you create a post and then going in and just scramble using your magic to make it sound like your voice but giving you some ideas of what you could post in there in your social media feeds. So let's talk a little bit about the ethics, right? We touched a little bit on this earlier, but again, we're not creating images, right? You could definitely say to your co-pilot, your photography assistant to create an image, right? And I know we all shun that, and we should. But if you do that, right? Just say that you did that, right? Don't misrepresent it. Just say, hey, this is I I I had shot this image, and this is an image that I took and I put it into, Chat GPT, and this is what came up, whatever. And I never do that, but just being honest with that, right? So, but use your co-pilot to support your craft, right? So we talked about the plan and the learn, the diagnose, and that type of stuff. So using it for that is great. I mean, it's a great tool to have. You know, again, your reputation is your brand, right? So integrity was what it's all about. So just be, and I think this goes for not just for this type of topic, but for if you're doing some kind of composite or something where you're in post processing. This is a little side note, but if you're taking multiple images and stacking them together, say in Photoshop, just say that. There's nothing wrong with that because that's great art in itself, so there's nothing wrong with that. So that's my little soapbox on on that. But just, you guys know what's right and wrong and what feels right and what doesn't, and just be good with that. But this is all about using these tools to help you grow as a photographer or even as a human. Okay, so wrapping it up here. Here's a little 7-day challenge. And I have a PDF on this, and it goes into detail on this. So if this is something you want to embrace, or maybe it'll give you an idea of what you can do in your own chat with your photography assistant. But this just gives you a little 7-day thing on how to practice, how to improve something. Okay. And by the end of the 7 days, you should be able to, have improved on that. And then just do it. You can do a 30-day. This is just a little example, but I think the 7 day is good. You can just spend a couple minutes doing each of these little things. and it will help you, and it'll help you understand a little bit about this process. And then taking what I've given you, because this is my thoughts, and then, iterate it, like move it, change it to what fits to you and what really will make you use it, if you will. Um, so lastly, I have all this has spun so much in my brain. I had talked about that I have used ChatGPT to help me launch a app that is coming. It's pretty darn close. And right now, this is the pre-launch. It's called photocoach.pro. And you can check it out at that address. I'm accepting, I'm going to accept a small first in group. So feel free to sign up to join early access. But all the information is there. And what it is it's actually a platform that incorporates all this that I talked about, but it's designed for you personally. And what it is based on an onboarding questionnaire, your own assistant gets the information it needs based on how you like to learn, how much time you have, those kind of things. And it will move you along on your journey, and it can ping you. It can leave you alone if you want it to, but it'll talk to you. It'll reply to you as much as you want. And then the other part of it, that's the intelligent coach. But then there's the mentor side. So right now it's just me in there. I'm onboarding some other mentors. Hopefully this platform will grow, and you'll be able to do one-on-one with other mentors, have your own cohort, all kinds of things in here. You guys, if you go to the site, it'll explain everything to you. It's pretty exciting. I'm getting really great feedback on this. And it is pretty amazing. And what's great about it is that your own assistant remembers you and keeps track of everything that you've been trying to learn. So it knows where you're at and what could be next and what your interests are and your location, because it'll just come out and say, hey, birds are migrating down in, Austin, Texas right now. You might want to go over to this park, and it'll tell you exactly where it's at because it knows where you live and a good time to go, and blah, 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 blah. Here's an assignment or a challenge for you to do tomorrow. If you want that kind of detail. So something really cool. That's all I'm going to say about it. Go check it out. I think you guys will like it. If you're interested, just sign up, get more information on it, and we'll let you know how that grows. And with that being said, I just want to thank you guys. Something that I thought could be helpful to the photography community. So hopefully I built some awareness around this whole theme, co-pilot, photography assistant thing. But if you guys are really intrigued, check out photocoach.pro and begin your ultimate journey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me really quick, I'm going to put
Yeah,
these up here,
yeah,
and then you guys can download them. They're PDFs. They should
sounds
both go
great.
in here.
Okay, I'm scanning through,
There we go.
looking for everything. Yeah, I saw them, and then y'all, you have to do is click on the little arrows, and it downloads them to wherever you put them on your desktop. I will link those to the show notes on YouTube. So as people are watching this, they're probably, hey, why can't we get them? I'll link those so that you'll have access
Yeah,
to them as well.
then we can open it up to questions. I don't know how this rolls.
Yeah,
Whatever.
no,
Yeah.
the way it works is the questions come through the
Okay.
chat, and
Yeah.
I think there were only two of them in there. Hey Todd, this is really cool, and I don't use AI a whole lot personally. I'm starting to a little bit, just messing with it. I never ever considered doing it with photography, so um, I'm curious now what it'll do for me.
Right.
Especially, okay, here's my thing. I want to use it for scouting. Hey, I'm going. My thing is, I get more joy from my photography when I'm traveling. And, when you're traveling, the best thing is to hire a local guide. That is the best thing. I can't always do that. So I'm wondering, what it would do if I fed it like, hey, I'm going to this little teeny tiny village in Tuscany. Hey, what are my
You will
options?
be blown away.
I can't
You'll be
wait.
blown away.
Can't
I'm
wait
telling
to
you,
see
blown
what
away.
that'll do. Yeah. Um,
I it's interesting because planning my workshop. So this is a perfect example. I mean, my travel as well, for my shoots.
sure.
But I even use it for my workshops, and I like to put together a book for all my clients that are on the workshop, and I put in where they've got a section for notes and everything, but I put in assignments for each location we're going to, and just a little short lesson, and I do that all in Chat GPT. I just say, hey, this is where I'm going to go. Here's my schedule that I developed for the 6 days. These are all my shoot locations. And I know they may change because I go in early and scout and everything, but at least I get an idea and I have it all printed out and ready so everybody goes. So and then I just talk about them too. But they have the little booklet that has all this in there for them so that they can say, yeah, well, this is what you can find at this location. So for you on your travels, it's perfect because
Yeah.
it'll even tell you what streets to go on and say, hey, this, because it's searching the whole web for all the information. And it may take a little time to spit it out. And then from there, then you can just adjust the way you're
Yeah.
saying things if it's not coming out right, those kind of things.
Yeah. No, this is pretty powerful stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
it's different, isn't it? It's different. So,
yeah.
but I mean, start playing with it, folks. Like it's and use it as much fun. I use it an awful lot.
Well, thank you for introducing us
Yeah,
to a new resource. All right. Let me ask you this. Mika's question is how
yeah.
much of a difference between how much different, wait a minute. I rolled it. It rolled. Sorry. How much difference between two you feel there is between the free chat GPT and the paid?
Yeah, so I think so there's three levels. I think there's free, plus, and pro, I think. I don't know for sure. But you have to check. They may not you may not be able to do projects in the free one. So what I mean by projects is you can
Mhm.
create a project and then you can group, you can stay within that project and keep creating chats within that project that is related to that topic. So for instance, let's just say Alaska bears, and everything I want to search and do and plan and all that can be under Alaska Bear workshop or whatever. And then I can go back and look at those chats. And then if I want to do a new chat, um, then I just keep it within that project so it's all there instead of just a running list. But I think the
Okay.
free will give you the list. Yeah, and I think you do get limited per day. That's why I started playing with it, and this is what Andy's saying. I started hitting the limit, and then you had to wait 2 hours or it was a day or whatever it would give me. And I said, okay, well, I really love this, so I'm going to pay. um, and I think I don't know what it is. There was a time, maybe that's what I did. There was a time in the beginning where it was like 250 all like lifetime or something, which when it was first came out, which was pretty good. Um,
Okay. Yeah,
but
Shirley's saying it's
yeah,
20 bucks
20
a
a
month.
month.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, it's pretty crazy. There was something else I was going to say about that, but I forget what it was. It'll pop in my head.
All right.
Um,
Well, Todd, this was great.
oh yeah, one quick thing on that note, just so you guys know when you're doing it. As you're running your chat and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and you get more and more information. If it'll start to bog down because it's reading everything that you've had in your chat and going to find information. So it can kind of take some time. If it gets to that, a little advice for you is ask it to summarize what you've discussed in a short description that you can copy and paste into a new chat, and that way it can take over again at the top, and then you can go deeper into that. So that's a huge tip there, because it'll start bogging down, and then sometimes I've noticed it's not quite perfect. It'll go back to stuff that we already talked about, and like, we already talked about that. Like,
Yeah.
you're losing your mind. So it is a machine, so we got to keep that in perspective, right? So, but thank you. Yes.
That was a great tip, actually,
Yeah.
for other things to use. Um, all right, let me go ahead and close out this session. Todd, thank you for. I know it took us
Thank
a
you.
little while to get you on the schedule, but I was a little like, oh, he's gonna say no. I just know he's gonna say no,
No,
and
I'm
you
in.
didn't. I was like,
Yeah.
awesome.
I know it took
So
a little bit, but I was not, I was definitely coming on. I had to make this
I
work.
so
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Because
I
I'm
mean,
super excited about what you got going here, and this is great. And it's great to see all these folks.
yeah,
And
they're
again,
nice people.
if you guys have any questions, I'm available. Hit me up, DM me, or send
Okay.
me an email, or visit me, on the website.
For your website. Yeah, that's the easiest.
I'll put
All
my
right, let me
email in
close.
here again. I'm sure this will be put into the YouTube, but um,
I don't know that you want me to do that. Why don't we send them through your
oh yeah,
website so that you
yeah,
get
yeah,
more
yeah,
uh, visitors there? Let's do the website, but the people in the room, you can see it right there. But all
yeah,
right, that's the benefit. That's the benefit of being in the room. So, all
yeah.
right.
You guys have been
Um,
great. Thank you for all the kind words, and it's been a privilege to share a little bit of what I've come to know in this topic. So
there's a lot in your little
yeah,
brain there.
yeah. And
Okay, I'm gonna.
if you guys like what I do, come check it out. I got a lot of workshops. I got some openings, all kinds of
Yes.
things. So I'm about to put up the rest of my 2027. So
Okay. Wow.
yep,
We barely broke into 2026.
I
Yeah, I was
know.
scanning.
Yep,
I was scanning your workshops and like, wait a minute, you come to Texas. It's very far, and not very far, but it's quite. It's
yeah.
not like I could drop over and like, let's go for lunch or a margarita. But at some point, we'll be in the same area. All right, I'm going to close this out. Hang tight,
Thank you,
Todd. I
Linda.
want to talk to you about something else. You bet. All right, next week, Amy Ames will be here to share her presentation. 5 lessons photography has taught me. So have a nice night, and we'll see you next week.